All right, welcome to Dual Round Book Review YouTube. Today we are going to be reviewing Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. My name's Angie, and this is Andy. This is Ash Princess is a finished book, or the first book in a finished trilogy, single point of view YA fantasy. Basically, it's elemental magic with a prisoner theme, I guess, because the main character is in prison the whole time, basically. All right. So, initial thoughts on the book as a whole.
I enjoyed it. I read it as an audiobook or listened as an audiobook. And it was I enjoyed the book. I have finished the trilogy. Let's see. Initial thoughts. Great character development, particularly of the main character. You can tell that she grows mentally throughout the book, even being in captivity.
Which is hard to do.
Once, yeah, to see things in a different light, even though you're still inside the box.
Yeah. I think the author's use of her two different names was very indicative of her
change of mentality, and when she starts referring to herself by her original given name.
Yep.
You can definitely see a lot of growth in her.
Yeah.
And the relationship between her and
Crescentia?
Yes. I forgot what the rest of her name is. She calls her Chris a lot of the time.
Cress. Yeah, she calls her Cress.
Yeah. Is really the way she starts looking at that friendship is like, oh, this is really toxic.
Yeah, she figures it out real quick. Well, she figures
kind of slowly,
it out.
But it took her 10 years.
10 years
at this point.
Though I don't want to say she has a Stockholm Syndrome style thing.
Yeah, she does not love her captors.
No, she doesn't, which is, the hallmark of Stockholm Syndrome. But she definitely, in the beginning, seems to be like, okay, well, this is my life. Like, this is just...
She seems like accepting of where she's at, and like, this is as good as it's going to get, even though it's horrible.
I just got to make the best of where I'm at. She doesn't really see a light.
She has the princess trapped in a tower and I can't get out by myself mentality in the beginning of the book.
Yeah, she needs some help to figure out there's a window.
Given that she was captive from like 6 years old to now.
It's understandable. Makes sense. So yeah, I agree. I think it was pretty well written, especially for a YA. It didn't have a super juvenile theme or tone to the writing.
It wasn't overcomplicated either. It wasn't a complicated, like, I'm going to have to sit and take notes during this whole book.
Yeah. Definitely
to make sure I keep up.
Yeah. Some are like that.
Yes, there's a few.
It was definitely a quick, like, enjoyable read. Easy, entertaining, fast-paced.
No, like, long stretches where I'm like, oh, I got to get through this to get to the part where I'm like...
where you know something's happening. Yeah, there's none of that. I think the elemental world is really cool. Like the way they, the stones and the magic system that she has set up is cool without being overly complicated. I think it's fairly easy to follow, and
it is not super complicated. And I would put that was one of my things. Like, I love, Brandon Sanderson's depth to his world building. But that is not really the case in this one.
No.
So I like it wasn't bad. It was good, and it was but a generic kind of magical world.
Elemental magic, because they're based on water, wind, air.
The magic
water
system
air.
was pretty cool. But the world itself was fairly generic. Nothing like huge or different.
Yeah, there's no in-depth political system or, anything like that.
Just kings and queens and
but
it was tough because I was reading two books
basic.
very similar at the same time, or like back to back.
What was the other one you were reading?
Flamecaster by
okay.
Cinda Chima Williams. And they are similar in a few ways. They're not exactly the same, but in the same, like, okay, there's a captive girl with elemental magic. And I was definitely getting a little crossed. I wouldn't read them at the same time again. They were both good, but I wouldn't read them. Yeah, I was like, oh wait, this is the wrong character.
Yeah. And this book definitely has no spice. There's no. I think there's nothing beyond
love
maybe
interest.
a kiss or two. Yeah, there's love interest. Which I think it did play kind of. I would almost put it into like a romantasy genre, just because there are love interests, and she kind of does like a love triangle deal.
A little bit. She doesn't play into it a whole lot, but it's there.
No, it's
not,
you can definitely tell she talks about it.
To me, the romance is not the crux of the story. It's kind of a byproduct side effect of being human and having relationships.
I think her friendship with Cress and her captivity and her personal growth are those are the main themes. Yeah. So
which really leads her into book 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't wait to see what book 2 has. I really
of the trilogy, book
Dragon's
2 was,
Bane.
So book 2 was the best one of the trilogy to me.
Okay, well that's good because I haven't read anything else. I haven't read anything past Ash Princess, so. So do we want to do a spoiler warning and then continue talking about the rest of the book?
Yes. Although we may already be in spoiler warning territory, but
I mean,
not too bad.
We haven't spoiled it. I gotta pause for 1 second. 2 seconds. My Roomba is going off, so I gotta turn it off. Okay, we're back. So I think we can move into spoilers now because but I don't think we have yet. We didn't really mention anything.
No, not too bad.
Other than her relationship with Cress changes.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't say what happens.
how it changes.
So yes, if you would like, here's your spoiler warning. If you have not read the book, I would not continue watching the video here because we are going to discuss a lot more of what happens and there will be spoilers from here on out. So in 3, 2, 1. All right. So spoilers. So we talked about Cress and how that relationship arc is the main theme of this book. At least we feel like it is the big tipping point, the big hurdle that she kind of gets over in order to become the rebel that she's supposed to be from the beginning.
The rebel queen.
So yeah, her relationship, I just love the villain arc for Cress because she's this fluffy little cupcake of a character.
Yeah, at the beginning. Yeah.
At the beginning, yeah. You have this
kind of an airhead,
girl, sweet,
innocent,
ooh, it's about me, like, I just want to go to parties and wear fluffy gowns and whatever.
Marry the prince and like.
Yeah, that's all she cared about. And then up until Theodosia turns on her and tries to poison her. So that was an interesting arc.
Yeah, that was
to her becoming revenge filled, and that's all she cares about now is burning Artemisia to the ground, or Estrella. Artemisia,
the country. Artemisia's a different character. Speaking of which, though, Artemisia is probably one of my favorite.
Yeah,
one of my favorite characters because she's so sassy.
Side characters.
Yes, of the side characters, she is one of my favorites.
She stays sassy the whole time too.
Oh yeah,
and she's Dragon's Bane.
All 3 books.
She's Dragon Bane's daughter.
Yes, which makes her Theodosia's
She
cousin.
stays sassy.
Cousin? Yeah. Cousin.
Yep. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. So to me, Theodosia started really changing at Impalio's death.
Yes. Who she later finds out is her dad.
Heron and Artemisia. Yeah. Well, I think she kind of knew, but wasn't sure until she saw him and was like, oh.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think she knew.
It's definitely
I think she had an inclination. Yeah. I don't think she was sure.
I think it was a rumor prior to, and then it came out later, or was like, okay, yeah, it really was your dad.
Yeah.
Not just.
Yeah.
Because her
mom
not
your mom's friend.
Yeah. Or advisor. He was like an advisor, and.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So I think that really was a big changing point for her. And then when, like I said, her guards, Heron and Blaze and Artemisia showed up, they really were like, she was like, all right, I actually still have people who are relying on
counting
me,
on me,
looking to me,
and seeing
to actually do
the suffering. Because she at one point leaves the castle
of her people,
and then sees her people suffering, which up to that point was just the servants in the castle were still artisans, I think is what they call them. Yeah. And just the cruel treatment of all of her people.
Too, at the beginning, she thought. I think kind of at the beginning, she thought maybe she was the only one really suffering from the beatings and whatnot as a prisoner. Like she did. I don't know that she knew really how bad her people were suffering.
Well, and I think it was intentional that she was kept away from all that.
I think so too. I know a lot of people in their reviews of Ash Princess kind of said, I don't know why he would keep her alive at all. Like, why would you keep another dictator that you overthrew alive? You know, that's just asking for them to come back and be a rebel. I think a lot of it has to do with ego of the king and or the Kaiser.
Yeah, because he
or the Kaiser
toys with her a lot throughout the book, particularly this first book.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a power trip thing. Like, I think it's just his ego. It's him being able to exert power over something. Because that's kind of how they've got to where they are, is they've been conquering worlds or countries, whatever, burning them
just
basically
all
to the
along
ground
the coast.
And then moving on.
I don't remember if it comes out in the first book or later, but that their original country was just like destroyed, and then they had no choice but to keep conquering other countries.
Yeah, but they keep destroying countries. Yeah,
yes, they keep destroying them continuously. They don't change their habits of like, no, we're just gonna completely sap this land.
No, they're not like, oh, that didn't work.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, they basically go into each country and pull. Yeah, steal all the resources and just.
They were still doing the same thing, and had started looking where to go next. Even
they've already started. Yeah, because and they said Australia, I guess, was the first place they'd been that had magic. And so, or the magic stones or whatever. And, but the stones were running dry. So
yes,
they were already started to look for
because they
country.
Had heavily mined them.
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting, the whole sacrilegious thing with her not wanting to wear the cape. At the end,
or any of the
jewels,
she wouldn't.
Or any of the stones, she wouldn't wear any of them or use any of them. Even though I'm like, this could get you out. This could help your people if you just
use it.
I don't know. To me, I'm like, I know part use of it whatever was like, you have.
Well, she was like, well, I'll never see my mom again because, I'll be tossed.
Yeah, she did.
Shunned from.
Yeah, she won't be able to cross into the afterlife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big part.
Which I know is a big thing in a lot of cultures and religions. And yeah, you have to behave in this life to get to the next. Yeah.
And as the queen, she wasn't allowed to use them.
It was. Yeah,
which makes
she didn't
sense
feel like that sacrifice was worth.
In a political sense, you don't want the queen to have magic power and the dictate
and the being
everything
the queen.
That's going on.
That could be a
kind of a balance of power.
It's interesting too that they reference her mom being a soft queen because she didn't have to experience war or political unrest or any of the things that a ruler may have to experience that in a negative way. They were because she kept trying to say, well, what would my mom do? And Blaze and Artemisia are like, well, you can't really do what your mom did because your mom,
because she was a queen in during peacetime. Society.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting topic too. Like, you can't be the same ruler in peacetime as wartime.
Even in normal, you're never going to be the exact same as your parents. And
no,
even if you look up to them and love them, and
well, she was almost 6 months. Her mom died, so she probably didn't understand any of the, depth of her mom either. So,
or any of the higher political understanding stuff, like any of the complications of the court, or she was only on the outside. She probably did not understand what was going on either. Even in a peacetime.
There's always somebody vying for power and somebody, there's always somebody who's not happy. So, so we talked about the Crescentia Arc. I like all the big reveals at the end because that kind of gets you hyped for book 2. I really, at the end, I didn't know what she was going to do with Prince Soren because I'm like, I feel like you have real feelings for him, but at the same time, you're like, he's the prince of my enemy country. But then you have Soren out here. Yeah, then you have Soren out here,
knowing that, because I believe it comes out in the first book that he sent some of the, I forgot what they call them, berserkers.
Yeah, he sent berserkers
into that small island country that's off the coast.
Yeah,
those are her people and her magic being used in a horrific way.
Yeah, she didn't. She wasn't very forgiving about that.
No, so it's kind of hard. It's like, yes, I love you, but I can't reconcile all of this other stuff.
I don't know if she loved him yet, but I think she definitely had feelings for him.
She thought she might,
Yeah, I think she could have, and then that kind of happened, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know that I can.
I don't know.
Forgive you for that." Yeah. And then I like the reveal of the twin that Dragonsbane was actually her twin. So I always like when twins show up. Yeah.
Well, and I always love I always love when there's a strong female leader in a book.
Yeah. I like the reveal of Dragonsbane.
Well, and she keeps her gender secret.
Yeah.
Her identity secret. So she's this feared pirate, and
come to find out she's actually the sister.
She's
sister
a princess,
to the queen. Yeah. And I liked when they were like, "Oh, Dragonsbane, he blah blah blah," and Artemisia or somebody goes, "Oh, it's my mom." It's a woman.
That's my mom.
So I always love a good, strong female character. And I know they talk about her being doing what she needs to do to survive and whatnot, and that she's not truly all for Artemisia, I guess. But
yeah, she would rather Artemisia stay closer. Yeah.
Anyway, so the only other thing I have to add is the Kaiser and dying was very the foreshadowing of that was very heavy. I'll say.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, surprise! She basically predicted that was going to happen, and it happened. Do you remember that part?
Sorry. Yes, I do. This is where it got a little overlappy with Flamecaster because the queen in that one dies too. But it was like, yeah. So that's where I was getting. That was the point where I started getting confused.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
all right. They're both really good books and different stories, but there's some definite parallels.
You really like Cinda William Chima, right?
Mm-hmm. I do, and I love. She writes some really good worlds and characters, and she has a lot of surprises at the ends of her books too, where it's like a cliffhanger. She's really good at a cliffhanger, where she wants you to keep reading.
All right. Well, do you have anything else to add? Anything else to talk about with Ash Princess?
Nope. I think I would say, yeah, I already talked about Artemisia. That was the last point I had on mine.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that was it for me. So, like and subscribe our videos. We'll be putting at least one review out per week. We are going to be starting a book club too on Fable. So yeah, follow us over there, and we will be back next week. Like and subscribe. Bye, guys.